Hello, Flame community. This is Jeff Kyle with the Flame Learning Channel. If you're a systems administrator or you work closely with those in charge of managing Flame deployment and configuration for more than just a workstation or two, then get ready because a lot has changed. Flame 2025 introduces the concept of centralized components, giving us much more control in how we share presets and preferences across all of our workstations. In this video, we'll be talking about how preferences and presets are stored compared to previous versions of Flame, as well as introducing the new configuration file that brings everything together. It's important to note that with this version and with previous versions of Flame, most preference presets within the application have three categories, which correspond to three locations those presets can be saved: user, project, and shared. What's new with Flame 2025 is that many of the locations from previous versions of Flame may have shifted around a bit, and quite a few additional areas now have preset functionality, including media export, timeline search, conform match criteria, and batches animation filter criteria, just to name a few. We'll start by looking at overlay presets as an example of how preference presets are saved. If I head to the timeline, open the overlay panel with keyboard shortcut Ctrl+2, modify a few settings just to change it up a bit, and now I'll save this as a preset with this Save button here at the top of the screen. Down here at the bottom of the screen is this visibility area, giving us options to save the overlay preset either in a user, project, or shared location. For more information about the changes to user profiles in Flame, check out the version-agnostic user profile video, but for now, note that for Linux, the user settings are saved in Home User Flame, and for Mac, it's Users, User, Library Preferences Autodesk Flame. Presets on the project level, shared with anyone using that project, are saved in Opt Autodesk Project, project name. And finally, there's the familiar shared location shared with anyone on that workstation, saved in Opt Autodesk Shared. Those are preference-specific presets, but now let's jump into some tool-specific presets. I'll head over to Batch and pull out a blur node as an example. Taking a look at the presets button over here on the right side of the screen, we can use the drop-down to take a look at the presets that ship with Flame, but if I modify the settings just a bit to create a look that I like, and hit the Save button over here, we can see that this preset is a little different from the preferences presets we looked at just before. In this case, there's a distinction between presets, which could be used as a starting point in any project, and setups, which are project-specific and often used on a one-off basis or with a look developed specifically for a particular project. When I set it to presets, we can see the familiar visibility field, allowing, in this case, with tool presets to switch between the user location and the shared location. When I hit Save and head to the preset dropdown, we can see the preset that I just saved visible on the shared level. If I head back to the Save menu, saving this as a setup associates these saved settings with the project and won't put it into the presets menu, but it will be right at the forefront when I go to load what we've saved in the blur node in this case. Now that we understand the scope of the preferences presets and the tool presets, let's talk about how to point them to a centralized location. If we head over to the location Opt, Autodesk, CFG, and .version, where version is the version of Flame we're working with, and this is a hidden folder by the way, so make sure you have some admin access, we'll see there's a new configuration file named sysconfig.cfg. Opening it up, by default, it looks like this. The version section here allows us to create version-specific configurations. Just beneath that is the default shared location of Opt Autodesk Shared, which can be changed to a centralized server that multiple machines are pointing to. If we don't want to have all of Opt Autodesk Shared to be centralized in one location, we can add lines underneath default to specify where specific folders are located. For instance, if we're happy with Opt Autodesk Shared to be where it is, but we specifically want the shared Python scripts to be located somewhere else, we would add a Python line and point it to, for example, san, pipeline, flame, Python. And as another example, if we want specifically the movie file presets to be located in a specific location, we can add a export presets movie file line and point it to, for example, san, pipeline, flame, exports movie file. Beneath that are some additional locations that can be centralized as well. But it's worth noting that these node bin folder locations in previous versions of Flame were set inside of the application under Preferences, but they are now set within this sysconfig file. If you're looking to dive a little bit deeper into this configuration file for even more control, there are a few tokens you can use to automatically resolve a version or an operating system in a path. The version token corresponds to the version part of the application name in the opt-Autodesk folder. I'm going to use the future release of 2025.1 as an example just to illustrate a few tokens. But just to clarify, as of the recording of this video, 2025 is the latest release. The major token refers to the application major version, so in our 2025.1 example, it would resolve to 2025. The minor token refers to the application minor version, so following our example of 2025.1, this would be the 1 part. And finally, the OS token resolves to the operating system on which the software is running, either Mac OS or Linux. If you set a path in this configuration file that does not already exist, it can be created automatically so long as your user has the appropriate permissions. And finally, when it comes to testing everything out, when you've finished with your setup, after you've launched Flame, if you take a look at the shell, you can see the various resolved paths of the sysconfig file to ensure everything is working as intended. If you like these videos and you're finding them helpful, please subscribe to the Flame Learning channel and click the bell to stay notified about new content. Feel free to comment any questions or suggestions below. Until next time, thanks a bunch for watching.